Welcome to Ramble 48. Okay, so for this ramble, I will be covering the wilderness changes that Jagex released a blog on. But unlike the other previous ones, the other previous blogs I've covered, I won't be just reading it to you guys and then sharing my opinions. It'll mostly just be me sharing my opinions on it. So if you guys would like to read it by yourself, the post will be in the description. And yeah, so let's get into it, I guess. So wilderness changes are finally going to be happening. This has been something that a lot of PvP enthusiasts and other people that like that kind of stuff have been looking forward to for months, if not like years. So anyway, um sort of interesting. So they took a poll of like, or not a poll, but like a survey, I should say, where they asked people like why they go into the wilderness, how often, and stuff like that. So if you guys would like to see all the percentages, you guys can click on the link. But a lot of it was just, I don't know, just kind of like people don't really go in there to fight each other. They go in there to do other things. And people try to avoid spending time in the wilderness, as we can see right here. People think skull tricking's a problem. You know, I don't know. Just a lot of things. Like, and it's hard to say what is real, like what's good for the game or not. It's like hard, like certain things are really tender topics because a lot, like if we wanted like an update that is good for like PVMers that go into the wilderness, then it wouldn't be good for like the PKers. And so it's like a really hard line. It's like hard to say where that line should be drawn as well. But we're kind of we'll get into it. We'll start with skull tricking. So um I'll read what I feel like I should read, and then I'll give my thoughts on it. So skull tricking takes various different forms, but ultimately the end goal is the same: to trick an unsuspecting victim into attacking another player, causing them to become unskulled. This puts the victim in a position where they are risking much more than they had intended, and that is, I have been in my Sebe casts and previous rambles I've been talking about. I know it sounds like almost sad that I'm like promoting a Reddit suggestion, but there was a Reddit suggestion, excuse me, of something where like a player attack option would be, instead of just like hidden, it goes to never skull. So the option would basically be hidden if like you would skull, basically. So you could only like attack people that like are attacking you. And people thought, there was like PKers and stuff that were like, that is too OP because like that's the risk that you're like taking going out of the wilderness. And that's fine. And in fact, if you guys want to listen to the Sebe cast with Elaine, we kind of talk about it, and she had a counter argument to it, and I won't spoil it, but you guys can go listen to that one about the whole PKing scene. But part of it was PKers keep thinking we need to revive we need to revive PvP and shit like that. But if you really wanted to revive PvP, you would look for more balance in the wilderness, as in giving players a chance to fight back without making it completely lopsided, as I talked about in that cast specifically. Anyway, so the easiest way to prevent skull tricking is to turn off all your attack options and disable auto retaliate. However, by literally deterring players from fighting back, is it even PvP combat anymore? So, yeah, that's what I've been arguing as well. We want to make it so players who are not planning to skull can still fight back when attacked without falling into a position where they're risking more than they initially intended. We are investigating the possibility of additional menu options such as disable attacks that would result in getting skulled. I like that. This is a big change to the unruly nature of the wilderness, but we feel it will better the long-term health of this iconic area. So I also agree with that. Luring as well. So luring is an instance where a scammer tries to trick another player in order to steal their items. We're committed to preventing these types of scams, and we've made good progress in the past, especially in regards to animation stalling and mapping down of additional safe areas. So yeah, like luring, skull tricking, it's all kind of the same in my opinion, and I'm glad that they're trying to make it so like this stuff goes away. Because, yeah, you could say this is old school. This is like, there's always hidden mechanics. You can take advantage of people. But at the same time, like, that's literally under, like, rule breaking of, like, scamming people. And you could argue that's not scamming. That's somebody being dumb. But, if you want to bring, like, luring is a different topic in general, but like the skull tricking, if you want to bring true balance back to the wilderness, you gotta, not back to the wilderness, but bring balance to the wilderness, you gotta get rid of skull tricking. Make it so that if I'm attacking a boss in the wilderness and somebody attacks me, I can attack back without feeling like I'm gonna fucking risk every single one of my items due to some weird glitch. The guy loses his skull because he's planned it all out, or he's gets his friend that looks exactly like him, and then I accidentally click him. Like, shit like that, it just deters me from ever attacking. Especially when I'm an Ironman, where even if I did kill the guy, he can just run back and get his shit again, which we'll cover later. And the other thing is just, it's so lopsided. Like, the dude is literally geared to PK you, and you're in, like, this PVM gear. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. Combat area tricks. So they kind of go into, like, the whole multi-single. If you want to know a little bit more about that, you can read it. Single plus combat and PJ timer. In most parts of the wilderness, players who are attacked by an NPC cannot be attacked by other players. This normally is all well and good, but can cause issues when players run into a field of NPCs and box them, providing protection against the PK. Some of you have also fallen victim to pile jumping or player jumping, both generally abbreviated to PJ. A player might attack you while busy collecting loot from a kill, or steam into your fight when an opponent is nearly dead, taking the kill from you and swiping the loot. So they're going to be replacing all single-way combats in the wilderness with singles plus. So yeah, we were talking, again, I'm promoting my Save A cast, but Manked and I were talking about singles plus, and he's a huge fan of it. I think West Ham also made a tweet. I can't be asked finding it, but he made a tweet talking about how singles plus should actually have a longer timer, I believe. I don't want to be misquoting him, but it sounded like, let me just not misquote him, but I'll have to recheck that. But one of his like twit longer thing he had posted was something about singles plus. I honestly have to reread it to give you a correct view on it, but something about how like the PJ timer's still a thing with singles plus. So like you would basically, like right now with singles plus, like you would have to be the last person to attack and catch the freeze. Like, for example, like if you wanted to like escape a PK or 100%, like you would have to be the last person to attack them. They couldn't attack you, and you'd have to like freeze them, walk under them, and then you could log out or something like that. But if you like froze them and then the other guy hit you or something, like you can't, like the PJ timer's not long enough for somebody else to not like come and attack you. So pretty much the suggestion is, and I'm not sure if it was West Ham's original suggestion or not, and he said he also doesn't know whether it would work or not, but it would be a cool trial run or something if we saw if we can just make a super long PJ timer, basically, like a guaranteed 10 seconds, so like, or even 12 seconds to the point where you can actually log out. I might be misquoting him entirely, but anyway, kind of interesting because they're going to be replacing it. This is unpolled, by the way. I think it's good because it's going to get rid of like the solo team aspect. Although you can still solo team people, you just can't like transfer like specs over and over and over and over to, or not transfer specs, but just have like 20 people on one person and they get to just keep speccing you. At least with this, there would be a way longer delay before they can like spec you. Anyway, kind of interesting. Loot keys. So they pitched an idea of bringing across loot key system from Deadman mode. This is kind of interesting. I'm not sure, so I've never played Deadman mode, so I'm not really qualified to like really talk on this, but it sounds kind of cool. So like if you guys are familiar with Deadman mode, where you like the little guy has a skull above his head, and then he's got like a key, 1 through 5 keys. Anyway, they kind of talk about bringing that in, and I'm not sure if this is actually going to be brought in, or if they're just talking about it. But Yeah, pretty much they want to bring like the whole loot key thing into the main game, which I think it's probably fine. I'm not really too familiar on it, so I won't really cover my thoughts on it. I think it's fine though to have loot keys. Yeah. Fountain of Rune, kind of weird. I guess people abuse the Fountain of Rune's free runes. I've never heard of that. Maybe it's just a botting thing people do. Not really sure. Iron accounts and PvP loot. With so many different ways to approach old school, it's great to see so many unique builds that players create to maximize their potential strength, especially when it comes to PvP content. Players looking for a challenge might create an Iron account with the sole intention of excelling in PvP situations. These accounts cannot gain experience from combat with other players, so they must work around that limitation to create extremely powerful builds that would otherwise be impossible. And of course, Iron accounts can't trade with others, so they need to gather many items and supplies for this to be effective. Currently, if an Iron player defeats another person in the Wilderness or PvP worlds, they cannot pick up dropped items. This means that the defeated player can run back to where they perished and simply loot their items back, removing a lot of the thrill involved in fighting another player on such dangerous terms in the first place. To make things more nail-biting, we'd like any items that would normally drop on death to still appear on the floor upon defeat, but no one will be able to pick them up. Thank you. Thank God this is being implemented. Like, I made a tweet about this like half a year ago or something. Like, why is it still a thing where an Iron Man kills somebody and there's no like there's no punishment for it? Anyway, so finally getting rid of that. I'm very happy. Okay, equipment rebalancing. So this, I want to kind of talk about the Din's Bulwark. So Din's Bulwark is getting a buff, but I think it's mainly for like PVM. So let's just go into it real quick. Din's Bulwark is an overwhelmingly defensive force in PvP and a niche item. It gives certain blah 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 blah. Let's see. The new design retains the existing nerfs to the Bulwark's defensive stats, but allows it to better fill the tank role, while also creating a niche defense scaling offensive item, something which doesn't exist in the game currently. Here's what we're changing. Will it increase its attack speed and attack bonus, given it increased DPS and additional utility in a tank role. Will buff its special attack, allowing it to reduce the offensive capabilities of each monster it hits. So I guess this is like more for, I'm trying to think. Here, we'll go back to that because I'm trying to think of like certain situations where an Iron Man would benefit from this, because it is definitely more of like a tank thing where like people 4-man bandos. But I'm just trying to think where this would be good. Anyway, while in offensive mode, the Bulwark's strength bonus will scale based on the defense bonus of any equipped gear, which is really interesting. We've upped the crush attack bonus. So the other thing I'm curious of is, would it be better to wear offensive gear, or would it actually be better to wear defensive gear? Like, would the scaling outweigh trying to get offensive bonus? Anyway, we'll have to see. We've upped the crush attack bonus to 124 to help slightly with its new role. We've also increased the attack speed from 7 to 5, but that's huge. With its new passive effects, see below. Having a more reasonable attack speed is more in line with the slow two-handed weapons used for DPS, such as Scythe. Okay, so the new passive effect. When not in defensive mode, your melee strength is increased by the following. This results in 1 max hit every 12 average defense bonus above 200. With less than 200 average defense bonus, this results in a max hit of 15 from 24. Okay. So it'll result, if you are wearing like absolute like best in slot, you're going to be hitting a 46 from a 32. And it's 5 tick instead of 7 tick, which is pretty insane. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm not fully sure, like, okay, let's see the new special attack. So in addition to the current area of effect damage of the Bulwark, special attack will make it so that enemies hit by the special attack will also have their highest offensive stat reduced by 5% of its value, either melee, attack and strength, magic, or ranged. So I was curious if this new thing would be good against Corp. I don't think it would be good against Corp at all, but if you can hit like high number, no, it's not gonna be good against Corp. I take it back. I was gonna, for some reason in my head before I like started this ramble, I was thinking the 46 was gonna be hit against Corp, but that would turn into a 23 because it's not a spear. Anyway, I was just thinking like, ooh, what if like the new corp update that comes out that makes it so every time you teleport out, corpse regen doesn't regen to absolute full. Wonder if it would be good to use a bulwark, but I don't think so at all. Zarishan robes are being nerfed, so that's nice. I guess elemental staves, so mystic and battle staves are getting a +2 and a +4 there. Dragonhide armor. Shout out Shawnee. He finally got his blessed D-hide chaps. Wait, where does it say it? Where's the blessed D-hide chap? Oh yeah, there's the blessed D-hide chaps are finally able to be equipped by Pures. So okay, Revenant caves. So this is interesting. I don't know how I feel about it exactly, but we'll see. So they did a survey talking about how people currently feel about the Rev caves. And yeah. So Revenant Cave entrance. We'll be making the entrance to the Revenant Caves in level 26 Wilderness one way only. The caves heavily rely on a risk versus reward element. And while this location offers great accessibility to them, it also provides a rather convenient escape route for those trying to avoid action. Okay. Not sure how I feel about that. Kind of, as long as like the exits to caves. So here's my thing. I don't care if like a cave is not like something you just glitch. You just keep re-entering and entering and shit. But I just wish that caves could be like multi or whatnot, and then the exits are guaranteed singles or something like that. So it's, but apparently the Rev caves will still remain singles plus, except for certain areas, or except for like the boss that we'll be talking about. Anyway, yeah, okay, that's fine, I guess. Revenant changes. In response to the survey results, internal monitoring and player feedback will be making a series of balancing changes to Revenants. Increasing the number of Revenants, starting with an additional spawn in each location. That's nice. And reducing the spawn timer by 30%. So that's, the 30% isn't enough, but the fact that they're adding an additional Rev to every single spot where a current Rev is makes it so it's fine. Like, you will never need to hop anymore. They'll be adding a cooldown to the healing mechanic. Thank you. Unique mechanics to Revenant dragons, beasts, and orcs. I guess the other ones won't be getting to just the... I wonder if the knight will. Hopefully the knight will have one as well. Or else the knight's just going to be, like, best in slot to kill. Yeah, so... Revenants will be weaker against different combat styles. So... I like how they say dust off your bow scepters and chainmail. Like, dude, you got to fix the scepter. I was really sad that they never said anything about fixing the scepter here, which is like the most useless fucking weapon. Anyway, certain items dropped from Revenants will no longer be noted, meaning players will need to keep an Amulet of Avarice equipped if they want to ensure notes of all drop. That is fair. It's kind of a nerf, but at the same time, that's like good because the Amulet of Avarice never had a use really. So Amulet of Avarice will also get a salve effect, which is pretty cool. So on top, what's interesting, it'll even be better than a salve because you'll get that like glory stats with the passive 20%. So the Amulet of Avarice will actually be best in slot, better than a salve, which is interesting. Standard drops from Revenant drop table will be improved by 50%. So I'll kind of talk about this. A lot of players, especially Ironmen, hate how long it takes to get a Revenant weapon. Currently, it's like 250 hours if you are perfectly efficient with a crossbow already, camping a dragon to get a crossbow or to get a specific weapon. 250 hours. And if you're unskulled, it's like 450 hours. And if you're using like a blowpipe or some inferior weapon, it's even more. So a lot of players have been asking for that. But instead of increasing the drop chance of those, no, they're just making it so it's just basically you camp it for the same amount of time and just make more money. It's Jagex's way, in my opinion, of keeping players into the wilderness that don't want to be in there, but keeping them in there by not actually like increasing the chance of something they actually desperately want. They're just gonna get more loot from it, so it keeps players coming back, which makes sense, but at the same time, it's ugh. Okay, and it'll probably be a lot of alks and shit, so just more money being piled into the game. Revenant boss. Okay. People want a Revenant boss. This looks like a McDonald's toy. I don't know why. I don't know what leads me to believe that this looks like a McDonald's toy, but it just does. It looks like a little McDonald's action figure where like these legs can like twist up and back and forth, kind of like I don't know. I don't know what. Weird mind. Anyway, so let's see. This fearsome foe has a chance to spawn after a Revenant has been killed. A broadcast will be sent to everyone within the caves to make them aware when it spawns. From them, the race is on to find it and take it down. While the Revenant caves are singles plus combat, the bus will be excluded from this restriction, meaning multiple players can attack it at the same time. It will have various special attacks you'll need to avoid, and the drop will go to the player who dealt the most damage. So pretty much you're fucked if you're an Ironman. It'll bring back the mob sort of mentality where like you have to like go pay somebody to you have to pay like an entire clan so you can farm this fucking boss. But I don't think it'll be an issue because it says there'll be no new uniques added to the boss, but you'll get 3 rolls of the Revenant Dragon drop table, which is literally pointless. So they'll definitely buff this 100% before it's actually in the game, and it'll probably be a pet because a lot of players on Twitter have been asking for it. And yeah, so Wilderness Slayer Caves. I have a huge issue with the current Wilderness Slayer Caves. Some of it's good, but there's so many bad parts of that cave. So let's see what they want. So they did a survey. Yeah. Trying to see if there's... Oh, yeah. So people want a superior Wilderness Slayer creature, which is interesting because, like, everything... There is only 2 monsters in the entire wilderness that are Slayer monsters, and those are Spiritual Warriors and Bloodbuilds. Those are the only things that actually would have superior Slayer monsters. So... Now, before I continue, they have offered that they're going to be releasing new monsters such as Necreals and Jellies and stuff, which is cool. But I wonder if they're going to be making it so like they're going to come out with superiors of just normal monsters, like a Greater Demon. We'll have a superior Greater Demon. So it'll be interesting to see what they choose to do. And then they also say, should there be additional task-only areas such as Dust Devils and Necreals, which would be really cool. As long as Necreals are, like, not the greater Necreals. I don't know. I guess they could be greater as long as they're barrageable, but God, like... I don't know. We'll have to see. You know what also? So I'll just say this right now. I have almost completed the entire wilderness. All I'm missing is a Dagonhai hat, which I am still kind of actively going for off-stream. But... yeah, I'm going to complete the wilderness, and then I'm going to have to go recomplete it because there's going to be a bunch of new shit out, which that's fine, I guess. That's fine, right? Anyway. Much like with the current Revenant caves, we'd like to make it a much better place to train, so that's cool. I'm going to be removing stalagmites from any room. Good, thank you. The fucking Black Demon has 4 spawns, and there's a bunch of stalagmites right in the middle of the room. You can't even place your cannon. It's just actually stupid. So they'll be updating the drop table of all cave monsters so they are unique to the area. This will include some of the wilderness exclusive consumables that are currently only available via Last Man Standing and Soul Wars. I don't know how I feel about the whole like blighted resources and stuff. It's just, the whole wilderness feels so private servery already. And now it's just going to feel even more like a private server, like just a completely different game where like there's just random shit being shat out by every monster that can't be used outside of the wilderness. It's just weird. Really weird, but whatever. Whatever. This is unpolled, so it's all coming to the game, so I just got to fucking accept it. New Slayer-only areas will be added to the cave for Abyssal Demons, Dust Devils, Jellies, and Necreals. That's really cool. I like that. I never understood why Abyssal Demons already weren't in the wilderness, because, like, in the Abyss and stuff, it's, I don't know, it always felt kind of wilderness-like. And they'll also make Ice Barrage a viable option, so They are tweaking Slayer tasks. So they're just changing the Fire Giants, Hill Giants, Blood Velds. Like they're just lowering their number, which is pretty irrelevant. And they'll add more Blood Veld spawns. Here's the issue with Blood Velds, and I mentioned it in my Wilderness Slayer guide, is they have a low combat level but a high HP, which makes them not good for Laren's keys. Because what you really want is a high combat, low HP. Because combat level is the only thing determining what the Laren's key rate is. So, additional bears will also be added. That's nice. Superior Wilderness Slayer Cave creatures. So, yeah, they'll be implementing unique superior Slayer creatures. So, I'm interested if they'll be doing it with just Slayer creatures or just all creatures. But I'm pretty sure it'll just be Slayer, hopefully. Wait, let's see. The superior Slayer creature will spawn regardless of which creature was killed, excluding new Slayer-only creatures. Huh. If the beast is defeated, players will be rewarded with 3 rolls of the drop table of whichever creature it spawned from. Also be guaranteed a roll in the blighted item drop table, a Laren's key, and Soul Dead. That's really cool. Guaranteed Laren's key. All right. So, kind of interesting blog. I feel like there was something else. Was that it? Maybe I'm thinking there was a different blog. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So I briefly covered it. I hope you guys appreciate the kind of shortened down version, even though this video is already almost half hour. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. So I will continually be reading Twitter. I barely go on Reddit anymore, but I'll try to see what Reddit thinks about it. And just let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments of if you are liking this, what could be improved, what's bad. Overall, I'll give my overall thoughts on this. So overall, I think this is fine. There's nothing bad. There's a lot of good changes, I feel like. And yeah, I'm sort of excited for it. And the Wilderness is... Oh yeah, that was the thing. What are happening to Wilderness bosses? That's what I was trying to look for. Did they not say anything about Wilderness bosses? I thought they were... Maybe I'm just losing it. I thought they talked about Wilderness bosses being reworked in this one. Because I know they are being reworked, but... I might have missed. I might have skipped over it. I apologize if I did. I don't think so, though. Anyway. Overall, it's cool. Oh yeah, they had said something about like it was just in the survey. It was one of the survey things they had said like, do you guys want a new boss and should it have new drops? Which means I have to fucking go back and reclaim my bosses and go get new items, which I already felt like I completed, but that's fine. Just keep pushing people into the Wilderness even when they complete it. Just keep pushing them in there. Anyway, so for the most part, I'm fine with it. And Singles Plus sounds nice. It doesn't sound like you can just get easily taken advantage of, like, as a PVMer or a clue scroll doer. And, yeah, I'm glad they're getting rid of, like, skull tricking and stuff like that. Or an avenue of how people get skull tricked, so that's nice. But, yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I'll be ending it here. And I might come out with a future video as well when they'll inevitably update this blog. And I will give you guys another update on how I feel about it. So, yep. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.